You are now entering Sentinel's Lair podcast show.
Expanding our mind through stories of everyday people.
One, and we're recording. I'm going to pour myself a glass of mead.
What kind of mead is that?
That is Sentinel Lair's homebrewed mead. You can be found at nowhere because it's illegal to sell. But we do take donations.
Donations, yes.
So this is one I started. This is one of my first batches. So episode 4, man, here we are.
Cheers. A really bad echo.
Can't do nothing about it.
Oh, okay. Well, I just want to let you know.
The thing I do is turn down the sound a little bit here so there's not as much back sound.
Hello.
But all right, so dude, 4 episodes in, man. I think there's been a pretty kick-ass so far. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited.
Excited?
I'm excited, yeah.
I mean, you missed the one with my uncle, but I know you were working.
Yeah, I work a lot. But it comes with territory, so.
Why don't you just quit and just focus on this full time? I mean, what do you need a job for? Jobs are overrated.
They are overrated, but they're going to pay the bills. They
Damn
don't
it.
pay for themselves.
Stupid ass adulting. And
I know, I hate it.
oh, there's our timer, so we know when we hit 2 hours. Yeah, I can't wait one day. But I mean, we got some great shit coming up in the there we go, swear jar. Savage is gonna yell at us because we're gonna have the swear jar up.
Right.
Well, there could be a little witch's brew we could be throwing in there. I don't know what we put in it though. We're both tapped out pretty hard here.
IOUs.
Yeah, IOUs.
That's all we got.
Saturday, we got Nina coming on. She's an artist. We'll be going back to TikTok live, recording on there. So that'll be interesting. That'll be fun. Do question and answers after that. You've seen some of her artwork, right?
Yeah.
She does some pretty cool ass stuff.
Very interesting. Very, very artiste, very intellectual, she's brilliant. Especially with some of her stuff.
And she's got a huge heart too. She writes a poem for every painting she does. And she had just done that one for the veterans for 22 a day. It was a painting she did. And if you look at the promo video, it's like a graveyard with 22 crosses. And she writes a poem for every single one. And when she was reading the poem live, debuting it, you could tell how choked up she was getting.
Yeah, she's very involved. She's very emotional when it comes to it. And, being an artist, it takes a lot of dedication. And with that dedication, it takes, you're very within your art. Do you understand what I mean? Mm-hmm. It means a lot to you. So I understand. And it only takes, one person to like it. And then it gets very like a virus to where it gets very infectious to where everybody hopefully damn, 2 hours went by very fast. Fuck. Shit.
Well, shit. Damn it.
$1.25 in a jar.
All right, that was a waste. What time is it? We'll just keep an eye on there. Mainly just because if you guys are listening, obviously, we could sit here, we could talk for 4 hours. Y'all don't obviously want to be listening to us talking for 4 hours. You'd be like, all right, these guys got to go.
Right.
So, trying to keep the podcast down to hour and a half to 2 hours seems to be what the feedback I've gotten is the nicest because it allows enough time for an engaging conversation without feeling like you have to rush it and push it. Be like, okay, that's nice. You went through this overly traumatic experience and you're talking about it. What do you do on Saturday nights for fun? Not that kind of, you know what I mean? So it gives it kind of a good time. Personally, I think like 2.5, anything over 2 hours is kind of a little bit too much.
It is, but At the same point, though, we have our conversations, we have our interviewee, or we have our topics. But the best part about the podcast is the comments. Once we get to the comments, because, there's so much topic that we talk about that a lot of the comments we cannot get to, in that show. But the more comments we can get to and relate to and discuss makes the podcast more interesting.
Well, it's like with Jennifer, when we had her on, when we did her the live Q&A afterwards. I mean, that podcast ended up going almost 2.5 hours. But afterwards, it was like another 2-3 hours almost that we were on going back and forth with questions and people talking back and forth and everything else. But for the listener's purpose, as people listen on Spotify or iTunes or however else they listen, I'm thinking it's an 1.5, 2 hour mark. I mean, unless it's a really engaging, good conversation with somebody, but I think that's probably a safe time zone to say, okay, we got to start wrapping it up here.
Got to cut it out.
But she was another good guest too. I've gotten a couple really good comments and feedbacks from her, which is a little nervous. That was our first podcast that we were doing as far as with a guest and with the whole platform. And it went really, really well. I know she was really nervous about it too. She says she's gotten a ton of positive feedback from it. I've gotten probably about a dozen messages that are all positive, all just like they were really impressed in how it went. So that's a good booster too. That again helps reinforce that we're on the right path in the direction we want to go with this thing.
Right.
Do have one of the downfalls, man, is just trying to talk, because I know we're still fairly new at this, so nobody really knows who we are.
Well, no, we're not perfect.
Is getting people to come on. One of the things that I really want to do with folks is like religion. And it's religion and politics start wars. But here's the thing, and I want to focus on. I'm going to state this with, all right, if I was to classify my views, fine, I'm Christian. If we're going to put titles on things, because of something that happened to me that was very, and maybe one day the subject will come up, right, and I can share it with people. But for the sake of this conversation, I don't want to get into it right now. But I don't believe necessarily, I don't feel in my heart necessarily that it's the total, and if this is how it is, this is the ultimate. There is no other way in between. I mean, if for people who are listening, who do read the Bible or whatever the Bible, I mean, there's a lot of gray areas in there in Jesus' story. So how can there be an absolute in anything? My theory, which probably is not the most welcomed, is, well, my theory is, look, if you took every religion that's out there, I mean, let's just put all the cards on the table. And this is going to be one of those shows that when we have future guests or we have other fans or people commenting, why don't we talk about this when it comes to religion or politics, we'll be able to refer, hey, go back to episode 4, you'll get everything we want where we stand. If you took all the religions that are out there and you remove the titles, you remove the names of the gods, you remove the names of the angels or whatever the names may be, and you put just the foundations of the principles of them all, and you put them on a table, it would be very, very hard for anybody to decipher which religion is which. I mean, would you agree with that?
I do, to a certain extent. Okay. My opinion on that is that a lot of the religion is kind of based on the same thing, but it's written in a different way.
Well, that's where I was going with. Right. But if you take the foundation of it all, it's very hard to tell the difference between what is Christian, what is Christian, what is Jewish, what is
everything.
What is any of them?
Any of them. Yeah.
Once you start putting titles on stuff, that's where the division and separation comes. And who's to say, I don't know the answer to this, you don't know the answer to this, and there is no mortal living human that knows the answer to this. None of us do. And if I'm wrong and I meet my maker and he's like, nope. And he's like, dude, you fucked up. Guess what? Then you know what? I have to live with that.
Right.
But who's to say, because there's so much similarities in the structure of religions and faiths in the different titles of what they are, who's to say that the deity, the God, if that's what we want to call him for sake of this conversation, we'll call it God, or the grand architect of the universe. There we go. That way we can't worry about offending everybody.
Right, that's perfect.
The grand architect of the universe didn't come down and say, this is who we are. This is who we want you to live. This is what we want you to believe, what you should be believing. This is the way to an eternal happiness, or whatever the case may be. But in each demographic, in each area that they went to, they were showing up and presenting themselves in a means that those people would most closest resemble and accept them for the demographics they were in. Somebody who's in Northern Europe is, if somebody of the way they dressed, the way they acted, the way they looked, showed up in somewhere in the middle of the Aborigines in Australia, they're not going to take that person's in. They're not going to know, because they're going to be such a different.
Right.
So who's to say that the grand architect of the universe didn't come to all of us over time of human history and time and say, try to get people on board with, hey, this is who we are. We are the creation. We helped. This is what you should believe in. And us as humans just fucked it up every single time, because one of the biggest arguments are not arguments, but things that frustrate me is I'm trying to get somebody to come on and talk about Odinism. I do want to learn about other religions. I want to learn about how their faith is, how their belief, what the stories behind it, because it's very interesting to me. And I think it's very interesting for people to get those stories and to get that knowledge. Doesn't mean they got to take it, right, and they got to go back and follow it. Maybe it's something that resonates with them. Maybe it's not, but hopefully they have a better understanding than you. Most of the time you hear, people that follow Odin, well, they're pagans. Well, you hear pagans, you hear witchcraft and sacrificing virgins and babies, which is farthest from the truth. Every person, the few people I've talked to about coming on and talking about maybe the non-mainstream Christianity, conversations go good, and then it starts going right down that path of, well, this is the absolute way. Or like someone I talked to a couple of weeks ago, building a friendship with, was hoping that maybe they would come on, but I'm not going to bring them on here because they ended up going down a path of just constantly trash talking Christianity. And who did it? That's my biggest thing. Who did it? Was it the religion, or was it mankind? Was it man taking that and saying, if you don't believe in what we tell you to believe, we're going to burn you in the town square? And most people just out of fear and manipulation abided to what the elitists, we'll call it, or the aristocrats at the time was telling them to do. You know what I mean? Right.
Yeah. But I mean, at the same time, the people that study religion, they study the Bible, King James Version, the Holy Bible. But the Bible has been written so many different times by so many different individuals that no one really accurately knows what's the truth.
No,
it's just by hearsay, or just by word of mouth, basically.
And during that time when the Bible was being written and rewritten, who was writing it?
Right.
The Catholic, the Catholic Church, the bishops and the monks were rewriting it. Well, who had ultimate control over what they wrote? So,
right. Well, I know when supposedly Jesus, when he was walking the earth and going to all these different places, he had 2 to 3 people with him, and they were basically journalists, I guess.
Like
you could say
the apostle, yeah.
They would be writing down his stories and what he's done and what everything else. But over time, it's been manipulated so many different times that we honestly, as I mean, I believe in God, but I have a standpoint. There's a good and an evil in my book. Me being a homosexual in the Bible, it says I should be, I should be burned. Fucking shit, swear jar. Sorry.
Another IOU.
Yep.
You're right, and that's where it goes back to look where I think was it the religion or was it man? And
it's more the man. I think it's been like now it's just been so manipulated so many different times in so many different ways.
Oh, I definitely think it's man. I mean, let's look at South America. It's a prime example. I mean, I read the Bible when I was in the military. I mean, I had read the Bible twice beforehand, but when I was in the military and I was deployed, and even when I was in boot camp, wasn't all that much to do besides watch movies when you weren't doing on missions and stuff like that. So I read the Bible probably a few times. Nowhere in the Bible does it say your way to heaven and life, eternal life of bliss, is to go into a continent and rape and pillage an entire continent of people and force breed their culture out. But that's what Spain did during South America. I mean, what's the percentage of people that are from Latin America that have Spanish descent in them? It's an outrageous high number because of what they did. There's no one in the Bible that says that.
No, that should be abomination.
And that's
in quarter to the Bible. It's that's not right.
But at the time, the archbishops in the Church of Spain was like, if you don't do this, you're not doing God's work. And it's not just it. And I don't want to just pick on and beat on Christianity here either, because the other thing that when I'm trying to talk to people about, like if we, like this gentleman I was talking to that ended up just not going to have him on, who was just bastardizing the shit out of Christianity. Okay, fine. You have to admit that, your culture and your religion has just as much blood on his hand as well. Oh no. And that's where it is. When people want to focus on a religion that is deemed the enemy, or religion or a belief or a group of people that they might not agree with, or they don't like, and they want to pick it up, but they want to put themselves in the ivory tower. And I'm sorry, there's not a tribe, society, culture. There's nothing in mankind's history of development and evolution that does not have some blood stained in its path. It's
with every religion, every culture.
Every religion, every culture.
It doesn't matter. There's always blood stain or hate with anybody of any race, any color, any religion, anything.
And at the end of the day, was it really that other tribe or that other culture or that other society? Was it really the religion that was doing it, or was it because they saw these other people, they saw what they wanted, and they said, well, screw it, we're going to go and take it?
My opinion, that's what they did.
Look, there's a lot of stereotypes and a lot of bad condensation on a lot of different religions out there. But at the same time, there's a lot of beautiful stuff with different religions, like Norse paganism. Look at just the influence. If you look at pictures of that whole area where they were, and the achievements they made in their time, and the things they did, and the lessons involved. When I want people to come on and talk about religion and that kind of stuff, I want it to be, don't piss on one unless you're going to be prepared to piss on your own. Let's talk about the beautiful side of yours. Let's talk about the edge. It's 2022. We're over that. We're not, you know what I mean? Let's move on. Let's get past that. None of us were alive back then. None of us were burning witches in a town square. Let's focus on the beauty of what your religion and what your belief and what your faith is. want to know the story behind it. I want to learn about it so I can better understand. And hopefully other people who are listeners can better understand that particular point of or part of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's why it's kind of a double-edged sword. I know we said that we're not going to get into deep down the rabbit hole of religion and stuff like that. But I do think it's important to bring people knowledge, and mainly people who might have, like those people who hear the word pagan and automatically think devil worshippers, goats, floating goats with, you know what I mean? But you laugh, but you know.
I know. It's just the visions in my head.
So if we can bring some of that education and knowledge to people, then hopefully we can cross that bridge also with some people of, hey man, just because we don't maybe not agree in the same deity, it doesn't mean we have to hate each other.
Right. I mean, it's all about education. So, I mean, if, there's a lot of different religions and there's a lot of education to those religions. If you don't understand, don't just assume, what you see on TV or, what you see on TikTok or YouTube, you know what I mean?
As much as I'm a Marvel Universe fan and MCU fan, yeah, a lot of stuff on there you can't.
Right.
Thor was not, the Thor on MCU is not the same Thor in mythology.
Right. It's much different. And I get it. I understand, it's just all about education, a lot of stuff is true, some not true, and, each different individual takes their own content into what they see or what they believe or what they hear. And a lot of it's honestly not true. I mean, it's not.
And that's why it's hard for me to pinpoint, like I said, if we're going to throw titles on things, all right, I'm Christian, I guess. But I hate throwing titles on things because I grew up in a Catholic surrounding as a kid.
So did I.
So growing up as a kid, crystals, this stuff, which is just cool. I just like cool stuff like this. You know what I mean? But
makes it sound beautiful though.
The sound bowl, saging, that kind of stuff, that was all blasphemy. That was all deemed evil. That was all witchcraft.
Right.
But then I remember reading, and I had to read it like 3 times because I was like, no, there's no way this shit's saying this in the Bible. But I mean, in the Bible, in King Solomon's temple, he burnt sage, he burnt frankincense, he burnt a lot of the stuff specifically to ward off evil and dark entities during the construction of King Solomon's temple. So then my question would come in if I was sitting in front of a priest, why was it okay then, but now
it's not? You
tell me that's witchcraft and I just need to pray. Well, that's fine, but why was it okay then? And why is it in there in the stories? If you know what I mean, like those questions I have that most religious people hate me because I come up with some of the most weirdest questions and those things I want to know.
Oh yeah.
Just like with crystals.
They heal,
rent,
they make your surroundings, everything.
And that's been scientifically proven.
And it's actually been long range throughout the world. I don't know how long ago that there's entities that, you gain from the crystals, by being around. Not let alone, just they give off entities, I guess.
They give up different energies.
Energies, okay.
Well, I guess scientifically, if we look at it scientifically, they enhance and help tune and kind of hone in on different energies. Like, I mean, we're batteries. That's all we are. We're walking batteries that tend to bleed when they get cut, right?
Right.
Crystals help with those frequencies and our energies. So just like with Reiki, I mean, I know a person who thinks that I'm going to hell and I'm the epitome of evil and blasphemous against God and Christ because I became Reiki certified. Which, and Reiki certified is just one person, because we're energy, we have a negative flow and a positive flow, and most people just don't know necessarily how to maybe control that flow to calm their anxieties, calm their stress, and other stuff like that. And that's what Reiki does, someone who's certified, to help kind of just ease that and make that energy flowing through a normal person to kind of level it out. Well, that's fucking science right there. And if it's so fake, then why is it? And I read this article, I don't know, maybe about 2 years ago, that they're starting to look at people who are doing Reiki have to get a medical certificate to do it. So if you need to get a medical certificate to do it, I mean, well, besides the conspiracy theory that the government just wants to get some more money off of the deal, pretty much. Why do you do that? And why do you have to have a certain level of liability insurance to do it if it's so fake? I mean, it's fucking science. It works. I owe you. I'll get you in the second Tuesday next week, Jar. But you know, I mean, it works. Just like, I mean, we're just now, I mean, in 2022, one of the most effective ways of healing that just for like stress and muscle stuff is acupuncture.
Yeah. Well, just thinking back in the day, they didn't have no pills. They didn't have medicine. They had actual natural resources like plants, massages, or, you know, remedies that they did. It worked for them. But now, in the new age, they have medicine. Yeah. You know, it's a quick punch, you know, let's just put it out there, you know, like my mom, I love my mom to death, but, you know, she has a lot of issues, and they just give her Xanax and be like, here, take that. There you go.
And now, show disclosure, we do not endorse nor encourage any use of any illegal substances. But what's the number one thing to help and aid with anxiety and a plethora of different things? Taking a couple bowl hits. You know what I mean? But unless you're like me, I mean, last time I smoked, which is probably about 20 something years ago.
Wow, that long?
Yeah. And I remember that I pretty much was useless. I could just barely get the right buttons on the remote, and the paranoia set in on me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's there's a lot of benefits for it, but I mean, there's certain people, you know, that they're used to taking medication and they're okay with it, but then you have people that abuse the medication, you know, and then doctors just be like, you know, here you go, here's a script, here's a script, and then it's
getting a little bit of feedback here.
Yeah, it's not good. But you know, in all reality, yeah, there's, you know, that's better.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
But
hold on a second. We're going to pause this real quick. We're having a little bit of technical issues. See if we can take care of that feedback. All right, we're back. Sorry about that, folks. A little bit of technical issues. We're getting a feedback from one of the mics. So, I don't remember where we left off, but I do remember, and we started talking while we're figuring this all out. And when it comes to religion and what, I think there's a lot of things we don't know about, and I'm a firm believer that you do the right thing, you do the good thing, and you're a good person. That's what you're ultimately going to be judged on. And I know, and one of the reasons why I don't buy into a lot of what we're being told is supposed to be with religion is because according to certain faiths or certain ways you look at things, if you don't live a certain way, you're going to go to hell and burn, which brings up like what you had said, what your dilemma is, or not dilemma, but kind of like where you're like, you're what the fuck's going on, kind of, Go ahead.
Oh. I was waiting for, but no, I don't know, there's a lot of reasons and excuses and opinions about everything. It doesn't matter if you're, white, black, gay, trans, Hispanic, Indian, to, all I know is in my lifestyle, I always believe in a good and evil. If I treat people with respect and I get respected back and I do a good deed, regardless if I do any good deeds at all, because no one really has to do a good deed to be accepted. But in my thinking is that if you do a good deed, regardless of how many you do, it's going to look, positively on you. But in my line of lifestyle, I've been told by countless people that I'm going to go to hell. I'm going to live in, what's that word? Purgatory. That I'm going to get, live in hell for, being gay. That I'm, when I die, I'm physically going to get BF'd, which I can't say on the radio, but BUTTFUCK for the rest of my life. And, in reality, I don't believe that. It's just, it's whatever beliefs they are. But I know in my lifestyle, I've met a lot of people that are in church and they have a lot of ghosts in their closets to where they don't want to accept reality because in a certain form, they have a partial lifestyle that I live, but they don't choose to show it because they know it's supposedly in God's eyes, it's wrong.
A lot of people too, what we call, the church, not just Christianity. And again, because I don't want to beat up on just one religion specifically, but for sake of conversation, we'll call it the church dayers. Whatever,
Church dayers.
Church dayers, yeah. Come the church day, they're all of a sudden, and church meaning, or we'll call it their faith day. They're faith dayers. We have to have titles, and everybody's got to have their pronouns and everything these days, right? We'll call it their faith days,
and that's
the day of their
choose to do whatever they want. And
no, I'm saying those are the days that they're the good ones. They go and they donate when they're supposed to. They live to the word and everything else, and then they go home, and then the very next day they wake up and they're right back to where they were, square one.
Right.
And I found in my life, people that live that way are the most judgmental hypocrites in the face of the planet.
Most definitely. They will judge you in a moment's time because they have a guilty conscience that they know that.
And if I could judge you for what my sin or what I'm guilty of, then that makes my guiltiness okay, because to my deity, I'm judging you for what you're doing and making you blasphemous.
You cannot judge another person when you choose to do the same. Regardless of what it is, a shame is a shame. Regardless.
And when it comes down to it, like as far as your situation goes, I mean, of everything that I've read in the Bible, and I'm sure that there'll probably be some people that will come out and tell me I'm wrong or prove out different things where I'm wrong, and that's fine. Well, it's all about learning every day, right?
Right.
From my memory, there was only 2 references that could have been construed in a manner to that. Is the desiccation or declaration of God's creation of our body. Well, I mean, that could be also taken into content of somebody who puts football pads on and goes plays football on Sundays during the football season, or somebody who goes and gets tattoos or gets piercings or any of this other stuff that is on the social, anything that inflicts harm upon our bodies could be perceived in those lines as well too. I do not personally recall ever reading anything that says straight out, oh, if you're gay, there's one thing I don't like about talking on this, because the way we joke with each other, I wanted to say something else, but I know that if I said it, we'd get an email. That was uncalled for. You were Listen, if you hear what this guy calls me a breeder all the time.
He is a breeder. He breeds children.
And I'm okay with that.
And half the time they might be gay, half the time they might be straight. So in the end, I'm congratulating him for being a breeder.
And this breeder, but being gay, again, I don't, in my heart, and with what, not just Christianity, but all religions preach themselves to be, I have a hard time believing that if there is an eternal life or an ever after when we pass. I mean, it could be reincarnation.
Right.
Don't know. But if there is something afterwards, I have a very hard time believing in the bottom of my heart that a man or a woman's sexual preference choice is going to be the deciding factor of whether if they've lived a good life in their life. Just straight, it doesn't matter. If you did the right thing, like you're a really good friend. You're a great neighbor. I don't think things be judged. I think a lot of that stereotyping comes in from man manipulating things and rewarding things. You know what I tell people who want to get into it with me with religion a lot of the times? Read the books of the apostles. Basically, it was the people that walked around with Jesus. After he died, before he died, they were all to go to different corners of the world, which, I mean, at that time could have been like from here to South Austin.
Right.
And like 5 years later, write their stories of their travels with Jesus. The most logical reason to me would be because, well, if you're all separated, you're all gonna, I mean, we could talk, we could write a book 20 years from now, and you're living in somewhere in South America and I'm living somewhere in Europe, and we haven't talked to each other. We could write a book about the last year. Your story is going to be a little bit different version than what mine is, because 5 years go by, it's our memory.
It's a different region.
But I'm saying it as far as this year here, like if we started from today, the next 12 months, and 20 years from now, we decided to write an autobiography of what happened with us with this podcast.
Right. It's going
to be complete, because we're having different perspectives, different memories, and we're going to have that time frame that a lot of details, some things be lost.
Correct. Yeah.
And if we're not near each other to collaborate with it, it's going to be completely different. So I tell people, read those stories, because that's the most accurate. And I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, I'm sure. But you know what? Nowhere in any of those did even Jesus claim the title of Christianity.
No.
It was just live your life. Basically, if you took just those stories and you took the rest of everything away, Jesus could essentially been labeled a pagan as well, too. I know I'm going to get hate for that one.
You are. Yes, you will. But in the same sense, I mean, it's factual.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have facts and you have stories. I mean, all in the end, it's all about facts.
And then none of those stories from the apostles, did they ever mention anything about alternative lifestyles?
No.
Is that the politically correct way to say it?
Yeah.
Is it?
For the radio, yeah.
You're gay.
The fuck? Shit. Swear jar. Sorry.
look, man, for people that are listening, we have a warning label of adult language and adult content. I mean, me and this dude, we joke around a lot and we don't care.
Hell.
So, you know, I know that we have to be somewhat filtered to an extent.
We do to an extent, but as a podcast, I mean, if you sign up, you sign up.
Yeah, when you start this roller coaster ride, you're in all the way. You're going up.
And you're gonna fucking love every fucking ride of it.
There was one lady when we were talking about the cosplay and the makeup, and you're like, why didn't you ask the fucking gay guy? What's funny is there is one lady that I'm talking to, and I've been listening to her podcast. I'll have to link you a copy of her podcast. Her name is Suzette. She's from the UK.
Suzette.
She classifies herself as a heathen North pagan, and she seems to be like the one that will be a good one to have on to talk about like Norse paganism and some of that other stuff, because she's just whatever. She's a very opening person. But she's been listening to podcasts, you know, vetting us, which is should, you know, right. Just like I'm listening to her to vet her.
I mean, yeah.
And she sent me a message. She goes, LMAO. I'm listening to your podcast, quotations. Why didn't you just ask the gay guy? She says she got the biggest kick out of that line.
It's true though. I mean,
well, yeah, but you know, but see, I don't look at you as the gay guy. I look at you as Kevin.
Oh,
you just like penis. I like vagina and you like penis. I don't look at you as
right. Know. I mean, I respect that. I get it. Yeah, but I have a lot of answers. But just that you can't normally talk to like your college buddies or
hold on a second,
store buddies.
So, on behalf of the LGBTQ community, are you upset because I didn't just assume and presume that you would be a drag queen, formerly makeup artist that would know? I think that's
no, but you could have just asked me. I mean, seriously. I told you prior to us doing any of the podcast that I was a prior drag queen.
Yeah, and we still are going to do some kind of fundraiser thing.
Oh, we are. Yes, we are.
That's going to be.
We're going to do it. We are going to do a fundraiser, and I will dress in full drag, like promised. And if I win, we are going to put Mr. In full drag.
No habla español. No habla inglés. Savage, one of our moderators, and for those listening,
Savage Coach.
She is awesome.
I love her, man.
For a lot of you who might not know, a lot of times we will broadcast live on TikTok when we're doing our podcast, so people can go into the chat and interact with the moderators, and we have moderators in there to make sure that there's no bullies, there's no cyberbullying or any of that bullshit going on. And this girl, Savage Coach, is one of us, our thing, and she is awesome. Well, she has volunteered your BFF, Aaron.
Hi, Aaron. If you are listening, boo, I will see you soon.
Well, you're going to be all excited.
Why?
Because once we get to a certified, I mean, we've already had just in which for our budget that we have to spend for advertising and marketing,
right? Which
is next to nothing. They stopped taking wooden quarters, I think, like 1,000 years ago. But we've had over 300 downloads so far, which is pretty good for what we're. Yeah, 300, wow, and that's through all of the podcast outlets we're on. But once we hit 1,000 followers on our podcast combined, not just Spotify or not just iTunes, not just iHeartRadio or YouTube, combined.
Okay.
She's going to buy a pair of sentinelslair leggings.
And Aaron's going to wear them.
For Aaron.
Fuck yeah. More money's in the sweat jar.
So yeah,
Ryan, I
we're gonna play
cannot
that.
wait to see you wear those, bro. Not trying to be a homo, but
But you are.
I am. You know, a little bit. I am. But your leg's going to be so gorgeous, Aaron. I just trying to say.
He's gonna be listening to this episode, being like, "We ain't going to Texas, honey. We ain't going to Texas. There's no way we're gonna make it to Texas."
Come on, boo boo. It's okay. It's okay.
But we got some pretty cool stuff too on our store.
Yeah, there's a
Hold
lot.
on. Before we go down to that, before we totally leave it, back to the religion thing. I just want to leave it with this. That's where I stand on religion, and I'm saying that mainly because anyone who might in the future hit us up and say, "Well, why don't you talk more about this?" or "Why don't you have these people? Why don't you do this?" So I can refer back and say, go back and listen to episode 4. Right. We believe in a deity. We believe in some kind of God. We do believe that there's something else out there, but there's also a lot more unanswered things.
There's a lot,
and there's just too many.
You can't answer everybody's, Well,
there's too many different faiths that are beautiful that I will encourage people to come on and educate us and share the knowledge about it. I just don't want to, and I think you would agree with this too, and you can tell me if you're not, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole of my way is the ultimate way, and if you don't follow my way, then you're going to hell.
Right. No, that's not what we want. We want everybody to understand, okay, a little bit about me, with religion is me being an open gay male. I was raised with a family of Catholics, so I did go to a Catholic church for a long time. Forever, dude. At least till I was 14. Catholic church, And then I was stolen by my grandparent. What? Oh, let me put this right. I wasn't stolen. They took me with rights to Illinois. And I was raised in Illinois. And then they took me out of the Catholic thing and became Christian. So I did that for the next 20 years of my life. But now in my state of mind with everything going on, I don't have really religion I can turn to because I'm kind of confused. I do know there's a good and evil. So there's a lot for me to learn. I just want to make sure that, whoever's listening, in the gay community, that you don't have to pick and choose your religion, or think you have to choose something. That regardless of whatever's going on, and if anything happens, you're not gonna, there's nothing really bad gonna happen.
And maybe some of these people we bring it on as a guest that we talk to learn from, that they share their belief. Some of y'all who might be listening, you might find something that might resonate with them, or what I mean. It's like, what? And here's the thing too. Let's just throw let's just throw the titles of Christianity, paganism, Jews. Let's throw that all off the table, because I'm an extremely spiritual person. I do believe there's spiritual warfare going on. I do believe that in good and evil, light and dark. But I'm a very spiritual person, and you have to go.
You don't have to have a title.
You have to go. It's not so much the title, but you have to walk the path that resonates the most, not with what a neighbor says or your parents say or your friends say or what anybody else says. You have to go down a path of spirituality that most resonates with your heart. So
you're saying that your heart gives you the path.
The heart will give you the path. The problem is, in a lot of what we live in a world of over information to where a lot of information we get is bullshit.
Yeah.
So
It's bullshit.
me trying to vet and make sure that the people we bring on to talk about their different faiths and their different
Right.
things. One, they're not going to start trash talking. They're not going to start insulting. They're not going to start, you know what I mean?
Right.
I don't want to deal with that.
No.
But two, they can come on and just talk about the beautiful side of their faith, what their faith is, and maybe some of the guests that we have down the line of the different people that come on and talk. One of those may resonate with somebody that in their heart says, you know what, I feel very drawn to that. Let me learn more about it.
Right.
So
The freedom to choose.
the freedom to choose. The freedom to choose of what resonates most in your heart. Because your heart and your intuition is going to guide your path.
Right.
I think that's one thing that we just don't do enough of in our life anymore is follow our intuition. Our heart and our intuition is going to guide our path to what resonates the best with us. And hell, if I can bring somebody on that maybe we do find that one person that convinces me that worshiping tree frogs is a real religion. Okay. Maybe we find that person. And you know what? If they come on and it speaks to somebody else, then awesome.
I'm all for it. If you can convince him, that's good. I mean, I highly doubt it, but jury's still out.
So
we'll see.
But that's as far as religion goes, that's what the basis of the religion with the show is going to be. It's going to be sharing of knowledge and love and beauty. And we're not going to get in. I just don't want to get into the trash talking of things.
Right. I don't want to do anything.
So, but back to, now so that's on the table. That's there. So we know, the listeners know, people that come on and talk to us in the future, they know that,
yeah.
We'll talk about cool, but don't try to shove it down your throat.
Right. So what about
I am let down with you. You didn't have a joke come out with that one.
Oh no. Wasn't prepared for that. So
going to the store.
Yeah, what about the merch store? I said,
dude, the merch store is up.
I know you said you designed or reprogrammed or
redid the whole thing. We got t-shirt, men's and women's t-shirts, sweatshirts. We got leggings. We got pint glasses, beach towels. Oh yeah, because that's what.
Do you think I can wear leggings?
I'm gonna fucking laugh my ass off if you do, but you're more than welcome to, man.
I mean, I ain't shy. I'll show my body. I'll wear some leggings.
Everything's up there. I think the stuff is overpriced, but I'm also a Goodwill shopper. So,
right. I mean,
everybody who's in it, you're one of them. Luke was one, and a couple other people. Savage said the same thing. The pricing on everything that's on there, it's not bad pricing for stuff that's really good quality. I will say that the vendor that we're using, they use only the best quality of materials and clothing apparel that they sell. Right. So everything is top quality. Okay. I'm working on hats, doing some embroidered baseball caps. They are embroidered. So those are me, and I'm gonna have a sweatshirt coming in pretty soon. I ordered a pint glass to come from them that will sit up here and we do recordings. But everything's cool on there. And anybody who's listening, you go to our link tree, which is linktr.ee /sentinalslair, sentinalslair. That's where it all is. And if you go right to, you will look at, it'll say merch or in your swag, Sentinel swag, and it'll take you to it. Here goes Kevin. He's going to fall. Oh, nope, he didn't fall. We thought he was going to fall. He was reaching for something.
Still on camera. I'm not going to fall.
But the stuff it's good quality, man. It's good quality. You're gonna order some stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna order a shirt, sweater.
The only thing,
and a t-shirt.
the only thing it doesn't have is I like button down shirts. So I wish I had a button down shirt where you can do an embroidering on it, but
I don't like button down shirts. I wear too many button down shirts for work.
I like them just because I'm for my full-time job. I wear them all the time, and I don't know. I don't go out much. I don't do much. So when I do go out, I like to actually make it look like, hey, I might meet my future wife. So
speaking of any single ladies out there that are looking, we have a fine, attractive male, anywhere between 35 to 43, 5'10", maybe 215 pounds.
I like you.
Nice hair, no balding going on. He makes his own mead, which, honey, if I was a girl, you got your own alcohol at the house. You don't have to leave to go buy your alcohol because it's already at the house.
Don't forget, I make my own whiskey and rums too.
Oh, yeah. And he makes whiskey.
I took a sip of the rum earlier.
You don't like it?
Oh, it's good, but it is. Yeah, you could definitely.
Uh-oh.
It's like, woo.
Anyway, he cans his own food. So,
in other words, what he's saying is that I am the man for the apocalypse.
Right. If you get an apocalypse, we have beef stew, we have green beans, we have all the vegetables, we have bottled water. Anyway, but he is a fine fish that needs to be catched. So if you know anybody that's looking, for a decent man that makes good money, that's loving and caring and wants to find a good man, I give you my man. Well, not my man, but
Yeah. I can't wait to see the response. I want to. What I think is be the best. You know what we should do?
What
is we should get some of these people to listen to the podcast while recording themselves on video, so we can actually see what their physical reactions would be.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes. Thank you for the.
He's single.
Thank you for trying to sell me off. That's if the right one,
you need some shit.
But the store is up. The website should be up. Hopefully, sometime around the 10th. And going back to like we were talking about Aaron and Savage, because people listening, we record live on TikTok.
Hi, Aaron.
So people can interact with us. And we have moderators, and Savage Coach is one of our moderators.
Thank you, moderators.
And it's just to keep a safe environment and a safe atmosphere within the chat.
Right. Can't do without them.
Our Colby, what we're working on, and the IT person, the guy I used to work with who's helping us out too, says it shouldn't be a problem, is when you become a subscriber, which at some point in time, we are going to look at, and you have to be a subscriber, a member, mainly just for age content, and because we cuss and we talk about things.
Yeah,
so
fuck the swear jar.
There's another one.
Try to paint the swear jar.
It's all going to be on your website. So like when somebody goes and looks at it, to the website, and if they're a subscriber and when a scheduled podcast coming up they're recording live, when you go to the website, you will see the video, whether if it's just us or somebody that we have a guest who's here in the studio, or it's on the Zoom call side by side. And then that'll be up at the top, and then down the bottom will be an actual chat. And that's where the moderators will watch, make sure everything's being kosher and everything else. But we'll be able to actually watch the chat at the same time as well too. So when when we're doing it here in studio, it's a little different because I got the laptop down over there. But when I'm talking to somebody in Zoom, you see it, we have the laptop right here, so we can see them. So we'll be able to watch the chat as it's going too.
Okay.
You being Nicole, that probably more what you be more having fun doing. I'm squirrel. Look at that. I have to focus on the guest, or I'll totally get lost. And be like,
me being co-producer.
Shit, Kevin, what did they say? I missed that. So
me being the co-producer, I'll be more on the side, watching everything. So,
but that's what we're doing. We're hoping, ideally, it would be nice to be able to just set the laptop there with the monitor, like when we're talking about the monitor. So it'll be right there, so it'll look more interactive, and then the laptop will be right there for you, and then the moderator's doing what they do. I mean, look, we're not a high budget show here, but I think with the way that we've pieced and put things together and gotten the right people around,
it's coming along pretty good.
I think it's pretty damn good.
It's coming along.
So
I'm happy with it.
Musicians, fuck it. That's another. I'm having a hard time just finding musicians.
Musicians very hard to find. I mean,
we gotta take one night and go down to downtown Austin and bar hop to some of the local bands that are around and say, hey,
there's a guy on TikTok, and I sent him countless messages. He hasn't gotten back to me yet, but
is he following you?
No,
he will not get the messages in.
Oh, he won't?
No. You have to be following each other mutually.
What the hell?
Oh, we definitely got to make sure the warning label's up on this episode and gets released.
No, but he came up with a song with the National Gay Anthem, like the Pride Anthem, which he's pretty new to TikTok, but he's very well known. And I sent him multiple messages, and you saying that now I understand why he hasn't, commented back. But
the best thing to do is to comment directly on one of his videos so he sees it. You'll have more of a chance of him seeing that than, because then if he follows you, then you'll get you'll be able to send private messages. Side note, advertising and sponsorship. This is what I'm thinking about doing for advertisers and sponsors. Is halfway through the show, do a 30-second commercial, whether they want me or us to read something, or whether they want to give us some kind of an audio to play, just to plug their business. Also, at the end of every show, give them, this show brought to you by blah blah blah, whatever.
Right.
Up here, somewhere along here, we have more than enough room on the wall that we could put a logo of theirs up there that will be seen every time for whenever somebody watches the video of it.
Right.
And we do promo videos or anything else. And then also plugs in all the website and everything else. And then we'll also do a whole podcast episode with them. They can talk about whatever they want.
Right. They can just talk.
But even if it's a product sponsor, with that said, the certain energy drink I drink, I was very let down with it. They didn't want to hear. Just because we're a nobody still, it's like, how much money do I spend on your stupid products? So guess who's not going to be spending money on their shit no more?
You.
That's right.
Better thought so.
I just hope to God one of these other plethora of different energy drinks that are out there. Somebody will. But I'm like, because I sent them an email just like, hey, it's a startup podcast. We're starting out scratch from brand new. We'll put piecing everything together. Would you be interested in I love your energy drinks. I buy at least 3 or 4 of them a day. Would you be interested in being a product sponsor? Just we can drink the product. It would show up on there, the camera when you see it. At this time, we'll have to decline. Well, fuck you then. So, we have to find an energy drink distributor or somebody that will do it.
Well, besides that, we have a sentinalslair energy drink that will bring you good cheers from time to time. How does that taste?
You drink enough of fucking mead. Yeah, you're definitely. The mead is a little bit stronger than the normal mead. It definitely is. And anybody that wants to know, my mead it got from a recipe that when I lived in Florida, a guy that was there. I love the guy. I miss him. He helped educate and knowledge me. He would always answer questions, and he was like I was saying before, he talked about the beauty of things and the life of things, not insulting or anything. And he gave me the recipe that he uses for mead, and his family roots trace back to being in the Norse area. His family were Vikings. And obviously with modern day and modern age, some of it has changed. But for the most part, the recipe he gave me and how to make it is the same exact way that I do it. And oh my God, I see some things that when I see people make quote unquote mead, it makes me cringe. It makes me cringe. I'm like, dude, you're putting honey in a bottle with all the kinds of other shit, throwing yeast in there, making alcohol and calling it mead. No.
No.
The staple ingredient of mead is honey. I actually had somebody on TikTok, which I've gotten better. I don't get into arguing with people anymore. But when I first was on TikTok, I got an argument with somebody because I stood by the fact that the staple ingredient in mead is honey. He's like, no, it could be flowers. It could be fruit. It could be blueberries. It could be strawberry. It could be anything sugary. I'm like, no. So, but my meat I make is pretty strong. The first batch I made, and I'm only telling this story because I didn't actually pee myself. But it's wine, right? You figure how bad can it be?
All right.
So I was on live. Actually, I was talking with Savage and Aaron. I drank a whole bottle. Apparently, I was pretty entertaining.
Wow.
The last thing I remember was going to the bathroom, and I woke up the next morning.
Fine.
Nope. Oh no, I wasn't fine. I was definitely hungover. But you know, when that's the last thing you remember, I started doing one of these deals, doing the wet check. I'm like, okay, we're good.
Right.
But that's where because I didn't measure the alcohol of my meat as I was making it before. After that, I'm like, oh, maybe I should start measuring this shit now.
Well,
so.
Yeah, maybe you should. Yes.
But the only reason why I told that story is because I didn't actually wet nothing. So that's why I say it.
Okay.
If I did have that accident, yeah, the whole story never happened. So, but yeah, that's what we're planning on doing with the podcast. And I mean, the website is getting all that there. Maybe even doing some tutorials on how to make mead. I think would be great is doing some like cooking tutorials too.
Yeah. I mean,
there's a lot of stuff that we can do through the website and with different videos. It doesn't have to necessarily be all around the podcast.
Right.
So, you tired?
No.
You look like you're ready to fall asleep. You're like, one of the guests we're going to be having on too, he's possibly Savage, who's friends with him, is going to introduce us. He's running for state senator.
Wow.
For Texas.
Really?
Yeah. So, and you know what? With putting all the cards on the table, I'm hesitant at first about talking to him.
Why?
Because I don't want to be a political show. But I also think that there's an opportunity here.
There is positive when it comes to that. Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. You can't avoid politics 100%. Politics is involved in so much stuff. But he's running as an independent, and he's running here in Texas. So if we get him on, that'd be great. And I think it's an opportunity to talk about why the fuck are we so hatred towards one another with politics? Hence is why I don't want to go down that deep road of being a political show.
I mean, that's I hate that question. I don't like that situation because in the end, it opens so much doors to where we can't shut.
No, it doesn't.
Fuck.
Well, I mean, I remember when I was younger, I could sit and I could talk to somebody.
You can talk all day long.
But not nowadays, you can't.
Yeah, you can still talk all day long.
Oh, I don't know where you guys are, but
in reality, but is it going to make any difference?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like you could talk. Like, all right, let me back up here. If you took two people and you took all political affiliations, political titles, all that shit, you took it out there, and just two everyday Americans.
Yeah.
Gave them a list of topics, and each one expressed to the other their opinions and whether they could have a conversation about each thing.
They're going to have a fight.
No, you're wrong. You could take that. Most Americans, I believe, have the same opinions and same viewpoints on a lot of things. Where it all goes downhill and it does turn into the fights, like you were saying, is the minute you say those two people, okay, great, you guys had this conversation, your guys align with your opinions on the same with just about most of it. Guess what? He's a Republican, he's a Democrat. Now all of a sudden, those two fucking people are wanting to cut each other's throats. Now it's like, well, no, you're wrong because of this. No, you're wrong because of that. Well, Biden is this. Well, Trump is that. Well, Biden. And just.
I get you.
So hopefully, I figured that's a good opportunity with him to be like, because I want to know, hey.
I don't know. I mean,
how are you going to cross those paths of getting we're in such a polarized tribal society right now politically. How are you going to reach across and say, hey, we're all one and the same? I mean, Kevin.
In reality, yes. I mean, we are the same, but I mean.
Well, the thing is, Kevin, I know people who have completely reneged and defaulted on their principles, morally and ethically, simply to align with a political party. And I'm like, how can you do that? How can you completely disregard what your values are just so you can say, well, I don't support Trump, or I don't support Biden. You know, how can you completely change who you are and your values
because it's
just to make that argument?
It's all about their opinion. They want to make sure their opinion is right, and 90% of the time, their opinion is not right. The opinion is wrong. So they're going to choose over, what their opinion is.
I think that their opinion is retarded, right? And they should be aligning with what their values stand for. But that
does not work. That's the problem. It doesn't work that way. It works what they favor in. And that's what I don't understand. That's why I get so angry and so upset when it comes to certain things because they decide what they want to think when it comes to the point. When it comes to the before factor, they think they have a way in. But when all reality, when it comes to the end, that's when they choose. So in all reality is they have 25% votes and no, and 40% votes and yes. So they're going to take that vote in yes, and regardless of the outcome, they don't care. Because in reality, they're going to get their way regardless if they want to, because in the past, it's always how it worked. They always get their fucking way into what they want. And they do. And they do.
As a veteran, it comes down to like some people who might be a little lost in what you were saying. I get it. It's basically people get their votes and they get what they want, even if they don't have the numbers that they need, because they just got to convince enough people to vote the way they want them to.
Yes.
And, you know, unpopular opinion amongst many people, maybe, but being a veteran, I mean, I just don't trust the government. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. I don't trust them. And when people say, like, well, how can you not trust the government? And you served for them. Because I served for them.
I mean, just because you serve for them, you get the popular vote.
I just, and to me, you take the Democrat, you take the people that are in office right now. You take your Democrats, you take your Republicans, you take your, oh God, I'm going to get hate, man. I'm going to get hate for this, but you know what? I don't care, because we're supposed to be an open forum for everyone, right?
Right.
I can't stand Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi will sit here and brag about her $100 pints of ice cream while people in her San Francisco are starving to death and living on the street.
Well,
But at the same time, I don't like Ted Cruz either. And there's a lot of reasons why I don't. I mean, Ted Cruz was a rhino, and he was anti-establishment. And now all of a sudden,
he's an asshole.
He is.
He is.
And he sends his, you know what I mean? So, but you look at the two sides, besides one blatantly saying what they want to do on camera, the other one's hiding it. What's the difference between the two?
Right. There ain't no difference.
So you got to go pee.
But anyway.
Well, we could pause it here.
No, we don't have to pause.
Well, I don't want you to piss all over my floor.
I'm not going to piss over your floor like I'm a dog. What the hell's wrong with you?
Oh, there's a lot wrong with me.
I'm not going to pee like a dog.
And we're back. You feeling better now?
Yes.
No weak bladder?
A lot better, thank you.
So, this is one of the things we do, sitting here, having some drinks, just shooting shit.
Shooting shit.
I can see the squirrel that was trying to turn there. No, that's how I feel about it, man. I think both sides are one and the same in so many ways, and they just have a different letter in front of their name. So that's why I think it's an opportunity for this guy to come on and talk to him and say, hey, how are you going to reach across and convince me and convince others that we are one and the same?
Right. I mean, everybody has their own opinion. So in that aspect, that's where it's going to go until we actually have that person to tell them stories or tell them what their facts they have. That's where it's going to go.
Oh, well, hopefully we get a change. I mean, I do think that if it's one thing the last 6 years has shown us, is that there are a lot more independent thinkers. And that there's a lot more. Okay, yeah, I know the whole COVID thing wasn't a good example of independent thinker people, but
right.
But you got to admit, there's a lot of people that we're starting to stand up and just question a lot of things near the end, and a lot more people than I would have thought. Because you guys, come on, if they had their choice, we'd still be wearing face masks and we'd still be quarantined and everything else.
Yes, we would.
So, and I think a lot of that is maybe a little bit slow here in the States, but like I got a friend of mine that lives in Germany, and in the UK. I mean, just the mass amounts of protests not even protests, I don't want to call that, because the protests have been associated with destruction over the last few decades, but just assembling and standing up and saying, no, we deserve our right to speak. We reserve our right to be.
Well, in the state of Texas, I mean, they've already done stand it up. They've already done voice their opinion that they're not going to have fucking shit scorcher. They've already done voice their opinion about the face masks and the mandates. I mean, they got the point across and it's been done. It's ended. It's over with.
I know that there's still a lot of stuff that's going on. They're trying to push, but I think they've lost it all. They've lost the support of the public.
Yes.
Don't ash that.
I'm not going to.
That's my singing bowl. He tried to lip sync. He'll fuck me up. He couldn't right because the way he's feeling right now after a few of these drinks, I could probably trip him and he'd fall right over.
Bullshit.
But that's, yes. Do we still have a lot of people that buy into the fairies and pixie tail BS? Yes, we do.
Quite a few. There's more than over a half a dozen that, still goes by and thinks that they don't, that they're not going to abide by any rules or any changes, and they're used to what they're used to, and that's what they're going to stick to.
I think I was pretty surprised though at the amount of people that did stand up and say no, and they did it for credit needs to be credit is due. Both sides of the aisle, all demographics, all people, all lives, everything. They did it in a peaceful manner.
They did, yes.
Which was, and that's what was awesome to me. That's what I loved the most is that
no traumatized, no, no police issues. Everything was done politically, everything was done peacefully. It was done in a good manner. It was.
Speaking of, how cool would it be to get Elon Musk on as a guest?
I don't know.
He scares me.
That man has a lot of issues.
He scares me.
I would like to be his pocketbook, though. I'll sleep with him.
I bet you would. You know what scares me about him is of what everybody is doing who are of the billionaire status. I mean, you got some people that are funding and paying for their own way to go into their little personal rocket ships, all their own stuff for themselves. For the most part, and I'm sure he's got skeletons in his closet. Every single person does. And it's hard for me to not believe that somebody who hasn't become a billionaire to that status doesn't have skeletons in their closet. But he's doing stuff and using his wealth and using his technology that he develops or anything else to enhance and better humanity. But, and I could be wrong here, but if I remember correctly, him talking about his where he's on that scale and the empathy, what happens if they do all this, like the Neuralink thing he's doing. And then one day he decides to say, hey, we just don't need you. You're not good for, and if there's no empathy there. Done. Yeah. That's what scares me about him.
I mean,
but he's so focused on the advancement and preservation of humanity that
he does this part. He does. A little bit of it, yeah, he gets a little too much into it. But in the end, yeah, he does spend, tremendous money on, going out to space or, building more like one space capsule for one person to go to space.
Do you know that he doesn't even own a house or a car?
Oh, I didn't know that.
He has his I was reading an article 2 days ago. He doesn't own a house or a car. He only owns a private jet. He says because he spends most of his time there and he's working 12, 13 hours a day. So what's the point of him having a big lavish house? And because he travels so much with his business and everything else he's doing, what's the point of having a car when he ends up having to do like, well, I'm sure I'm exaggerating here, but basically he Ubers, you know.
Right. Which, I mean,
and I was just like,
in all reality, that's true because I mean, what's the point if you're not gonna, if you don't have a house, you're not gonna spend no time in it. What's the point of spending all that money on it?
and then you got somebody like fucking Bezos who's got a 30,000 square foot house, and he's got elderly people defecating themselves and dying on the assembly lines of Amazon. Yes, right. I said it.
Because somebody else is going to say it. Fuck. Shit. Square jar.
He even looks like a villain, dude. He even looks like a villain.
That man's got so much money. It's ridiculous.
Did you hear what his ex-wife did to him?
No.
Well, I'm sure it was probably planned. It didn't matter. But, you know, she got a huge chunk of his money when they divorced.
Well, she's freaking sure she did.
She's freaking donating it all. Like, here you go.
She's probably pissed.
But, I mean, I don't know, one day that'd be cool to have. I'd want to talk, like if we had him on here to talk to the Elon Musk, I'd want to know just about like the space stuff. Because I'm sorry, dude, I totally believe, and again, why don't I trust the government? Well, let's look at some of the conspiracy theories that are out there with space and UFO stuff. I mean,
they hide everything. They're so secretive about, you know, certain things.
I would love to just be like, hey, Elon, have y'all seen caught any aliens up there or something? Of course, looking down at us right now, if there were aliens driving by, they're probably like, yeah, these people aren't ready yet. They're not ready for us.
We are not ready. We are not ready.
We're far from it. But I mean, that's it.
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot, you know, to that conversation. There's a lot of evidence. You have to have a full background, you know, education when it comes to that, you know.
Dude, we got to get the guy that aliens. That everything is aliens.
You have like your weirdos, your fucking pop cracks, your.
Well, you know what the problem with me is, and this is the beauty that this is our show. Like somebody who's an expert, that it would take a lot for me to be able to get them to understand that I'm being serious when I ask, what is the asphyxiation with aliens and picking up rednecks in the middle of the woods and butt probing them? You know what I mean? You think about it. For how long was that the stories that we heard about? Was backwoods Joseph good? Man, let a boy up, pick me up and brought me up in there and they'll butt probe me and this and that and brought me back down. Those were the stories we heard about. Right. You know what I mean? Like, that would be my thing. Why is it only? Then whoever the guest was that was trying to be on your series would look at me and be like, well, all right, this interview's over.
They took my cow.
That is it. Cow mutilations. This a whole cow mutilated. There's no blood, no nothing. The little tic tac thing, shape looking that goes flying around, drops in the water at the velocity that anything that we have in modern technology would rip it apart.
Right.
There's a lot of questions I have about stuff like that. So it'd be kind of cool to have some people to come on and talk about that stuff too.
Yeah, but who are we going to get? Because there's a lot of crackpots.
Well, the first question we ask is, have you ever been abducted? If they say yes, the second question is, have you been butt probed? If they say yes, like, okay, yeah, you might not do very well on here. Mainly because the host isn't mature enough to handle that conversation with you.
Well, it might be a gay guy gotten butt poked.
Could be.
Sorry, swear jar. again.
Well, I mean, this is episode 4. I think we're going to wind it down. Want to thank you guys for listening. Thank Kevin for co-hosting with it and being in the spotlight. Please check us out on all of our social media links in the description in here. You'll find a link to our link tree. If you know any musical artists, please refer them to us or get them in contact with us, because one of the things I want to do is we want to try to keep one episode a week right now coming out, released between Monday or Wednesday. And one of the things I'd really like to do is to have an artist come on and who has original music, and at the end credits, instead of what you're about to hear, which is our Sentinel Lairs theme, is play a song or a title of theirs. And also one episode of the podcast focused on them, where they talk about their music and what inspires them and everything else. So if you know anyone, please let me know. Get us in touch with each other. Also, if you know anybody who'd be interested in advertising or sponsorship, again, please reach out to us. We have a lot of things we can do in return to show our appreciation. Other than that, check us out on all of our social media links that can be found in our link tree, which is, again, in the description. We thank you for listening and have a great and amazing week.
Also, if there's any trans or transgender or people in the closet or the gay community that doesn't understand how to come out, or they need reference, they can always contact Sentinel's Lair. Any comments or anything that they need questions to ask, they can always leave them a comment. I will gladly accept and request and give you comment on what your questions are. We are here. We have no gender, we are here to prevent anybody from being discriminated against, and we are here to help. We're here for positivity, uplifting, and once again, have a great day.
And it's one of the things that when we do, we're going to be doing a podcast basically focused on you and your story, which will be a good one to listen to. With that said, check us out Saturday night, TikTok, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be recording live on TikTok. And now it'll be again Nina, who's an artist, and she'll be our guest. All right, thank you very much. Have a great day.
Welcome. You are now entering Sentinel's Lair podcast show.
Expanding our mind through stories of everyday people.